I still remember the way the morning light hit the barn that day, bright and cruel, like it had no right to shine when everything inside me was cracking apart. The smell of hay and fresh cut wood hung in the air, and for a moment, it all looked the same as every other morning on the ranch. But then I saw the envelope on the kitchen table. My name written in her handwriting. Neat. Careful. Final. I didn't need to open it to know what it meant. Allison had been restless for months, pacing the porch at night, staring toward the dirt road that led out to the highway, as if the city lights were calling her by name. The ranch was too small for her dreams, and I was too rooted to move. Still, I opened the letter. She called it borrowing. Said she needed to find herself. Said she'd be back. But the safe was empty, and so was the house. Her closet doors hung open, empty hangers swinging like broken promises. Our daughter, little May, was still asleep in her crib. She was barely 2, curls stuck to her forehead, breathing soft and even. I stood there, watching her, wondering how the woman who'd sworn to build a life with me could just vanish and leave her child behind. The note ended with, "You'll understand one day, Luke. I need more than this life can give me." I didn't understand. I just knew that the city had taken her from me, or maybe it had always owned a piece of her I never could reach. For the next 2 years, it was just me, May, and the land. Dawn to dusk, I worked the cattle, mended fences, and tried to quiet the ache. The old man, my father, didn't say much. He never did. But every now and then, when he'd hand me a cup of coffee in the morning, he'd mutter, "She wasn't built for the dust, son." Maybe he was right. But I still looked down that same dirt road every evening, expecting her to come back. When Allison finally did, 2 years later, it wasn't as the woman I remembered. She looked smaller somehow, her fancy city clothes wrinkled, her eyes hollowed out by regret. She stood by the fence line, clutching a little bag and a photograph of May. "Luke," she said, her voice breaking, "please, for her sake." But May didn't recognize her. She hid behind my leg, clutching my jeans. And beside her, on the porch, stood Anna, my wife. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The wind carried the smell of rain and the sound of the horses restless in the corral. Allison stood on the other side of the fence, her boots sinking into the mud. She looked nothing like the woman who once laughed barefoot on that same ground, sun on her face and wildflowers in her hair. The city had worn her down, dulled the shine in her eyes and left her voice trembling like she was afraid to breathe too loud. "Luke," she whispered again, her fingers tightening around the post. "Please. I just want to see her." May peeked out from behind me. She didn't know this stranger who looked at her like she was air. To her, Anna was Mama, the woman who sang to her, bandaged her scraped knees, and kissed her good night. I turned to Anna. She stood on the porch, arms crossed, quiet but calm. There was no anger in her, only a kind of steady strength I'd learned to lean on. Her dark hair was tied back, her apron dusted with flour. She'd been baking when Allison arrived. She didn't flinch. Didn't run inside or make a scene. She just watched. "Go on," Anna said softly. "Talk to her." I walked toward the fence, every step heavy. The mud sucked at my boots like it wanted me to stay rooted, but something in me needed answers, even if they came too late. Allison's eyes filled with tears the moment I stopped in front of her. "I was wrong," she said, her voice breaking. "Everything I thought I wanted, the lights, the noise, the people, it's all gone. I had nothing, Luke. I had no one." She reached out, hesitated, then let her hand drop. "I came back because she deserves her mother." I looked past her, toward the horizon that led to the highway. The same road she'd taken when she left. The same one she now stood on, hoping for forgiveness. "She has a mother," I said quietly. "One who never left." Her face crumpled. For a second, I thought she might collapse. But she steadied herself, as if clinging to the only thing left to say. "You married her." I nodded. "A year ago." She swallowed hard. "You didn't wait long." I almost laughed, not out of cruelty, but disbelief. "You emptied my safe, Allison. You left our daughter. What exactly was I supposed to wait for?" For a while, she said nothing. Just stood there, tears streaking down her dirt-stained cheeks. Then she pulled something from her bag, a crumpled photo of May as a baby, the one she must have taken from the house before she left. The edges were worn, like she'd been carrying it for years. "I looked at this every day," she said. "It's what kept me alive." I wanted to feel pity. Maybe a part of me did. But another part remembered the nights I sat by May's crib, rocking her through fevers, telling her stories about a mother who was away but loved her very much. I'd run out of lies long before I ran out of love. Behind me, I heard Anna step closer. "Let her see the child, Luke," she said gently. "She came all this way." I turned. Anna's eyes met mine, steady, kind, but firm. I knew she wasn't doing it for Allison. She was doing it for May, and maybe even for me. All right, I said finally. I crouched down and lifted May into my arms. This is your mama, I said softly. The one who gave you your eyes. May stared at Allison for a long time, uncertain. Then she smiled, a small, shy smile, and reached out her little hand. Allison broke completely. Her knees hit the mud as she sobbed, holding that tiny hand like it was the last lifeline she'd ever have. But as I stood there, watching them, something inside me settled. The ache that had followed me for 2 years didn't vanish, it just stopped screaming. Allison's tears didn't undo the past, and forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. The ranch, the land, the quiet, they had all taught me something the city never could. You can mend fences. You can rebuild barns. But some people, once they leave, never really come back, not the same way. For the first week after Allison came back, she stayed in town, in a cheap motel near the gas station, the kind where the curtains never quite close and the air smells like cigarettes and rain. She said she needed to get her bearings. I knew what that meant, she had nowhere else to go. I didn't forbid her from visiting May. How could I? She was her mother. Every few days she'd come by, standing awkwardly by the porch, unsure whether to step inside or wait to be invited. Anna always offered her coffee. She never took it. Their exchanges were polite, too polite. Like two women speaking through a pane of glass. Anna was never cruel. She never raised her voice or rolled her eyes. But she guarded her peace, and that made Allison uneasy. Sometimes I caught Allison staring at Anna with something between envy and disbelief. As if she couldn't fathom how another woman had built a home out of the ruins she left behind. One evening, after supper, I walked Allison back to her car. May had fallen asleep on the porch swing, her small hand clutching her stuffed horse. The night smelled like rain again, it always did before the storms. I can help, Allison said suddenly. With the chores. I know my way around the ranch. I studied her, the way her hands trembled, the thinness in her face. The city had stripped her of the confidence she once wore like perfume. You don't owe me that, I said. I owe her, she whispered. And maybe, a little to you. I didn't answer. But the next morning, she showed up anyway, in worn jeans and boots she must have borrowed from someone. She helped Anna feed the chickens, cleaned stalls, fetched water. She worked quietly, without complaint, and May followed her everywhere like a shadow. For the first time in 2 years, I heard my daughter call her Mama. And that word, it stirred something heavy in my chest. Weeks passed. Allison started to regain color, laughter, even a little spark. But Anna saw it too, the way Allison's eyes lingered on me when she thought no one noticed. The long silences at supper. The nostalgia that hung like fog between us. One night, after Allison had gone home, Anna closed the kitchen door and turned to me. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Do you still love her? She asked. The question hit like a nail through wood, quick and deep. I didn't answer right away. I looked at the table instead, at the candle between us flickering against the draft. I don't know what I feel, I admitted. But love? No. Not anymore. Anna nodded slowly. Then set the boundaries, Luke. Don't let her haunt this house. A few days later, I tried. When Allison came by, I asked her to walk with me to the edge of the pasture, the same place where she'd left me 2 years ago. The sky was red with dusk, the fields humming with crickets. I appreciate what you've been doing, I said. For May. For helping around. But this isn't your home anymore. Her face went pale. You think I don't know that? I think you're trying to rewrite what happened. She laughed bitterly. Rewrite? Luke, I'm just trying to survive. I lost everything in that city. Everything. That was when I caught it, the flicker in her eyes, the one that wasn't just regret. It was desperation. You didn't just lose everything, I said slowly. You owe something, don't you? She froze. Then looked away. Who are you running from, Allison? Silence. Then a whisper, people you don't want to meet. That night, after she left, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the porch with my rifle and the dog at my feet, listening to the wind move through the grass. Somewhere out there, beyond the hills, were the mistakes she hadn't told me about, and I had a feeling they weren't far behind. The storm came before dawn. Thunder rolled low across the valley, and lightning split the sky in jagged flashes that lit up the fields like fire. I woke to the dog barking, sharp and angry. Then came the sound of tires crunching the gravel road. By the time I grabbed my coat and stepped outside, 2 headlights glared through the rain. A black pickup. Unfamiliar plates. It stopped by the fence, engine idling rough. The driver stepped out, tall, soaked, mean-looking, the kind of man who'd seen the inside of too many bars. Another one sat in the cab, smoking, watching. Morning, I called out, voice steady. You're lost. The man smiled, a cold, humorless thing. Not exactly. He glanced past me toward the barn. Looking for someone named Allison. The name dropped like a hammer between us. She ain't here, I said. Funny, he said, pulling a crumpled photo from his jacket. She told me this was home. I saw movement behind him, Allison, standing by the barn door, frozen. She'd come early to help with the horses, and now her past had found her in the worst way. The man turned, saw her, and his grin widened. There she is. She ran toward me, slipping in the mud, breath coming in sharp sobs. Luke, she gasped, please, don't let them take me. I swear I'll explain. Explain now, I said, my hand tightening on the rifle. She shook her head, terrified. I owed them money. From the city. I thought I could pay it back. I just needed time. Time's up, the man said, stepping forward. She took something that wasn't hers. And I don't mind collecting interest. The rain poured harder, thunder drowning his words, but I caught the flicker of metal under his coat. My father's voice echoed in my head, a man who can't protect what's his doesn't deserve to keep it. I raised the rifle, steady as the storm around us. You're trespassing. He smirked. You gonna shoot me, cowboy? Not if you leave now. The other man climbed out of the truck, hand on his belt. That was enough. I fired once, into the ground, between his boots. The sound cracked like judgment itself. The horses screamed from the barn. You've got 5 seconds, I said. They stared at me, rain dripping off their hats, measuring whether I meant it. Then, slowly, they backed away. The pickup's tires spun mud as they turned back toward the highway and disappeared into the storm. When the noise was gone, Allison collapsed. She was shaking so hard she couldn't stand. I helped her inside, sat her by the stove. Anna came down from the stairs, her face pale but calm. What happened? She asked. Debt collectors, I said. City kind. Allison hid her face in her hands. I didn't know they'd come here. I swear I didn't. Anna poured her a cup of tea, set it on the table. Her kindness in that moment, it cut deeper than any anger could have. You can stay till the rain stops, she said quietly. But after that, Luke's right. This isn't your home anymore. By morning, the clouds had lifted. The land smelled clean again, like earth after fire. Allison packed her small bag and kissed May goodbye, tears streaking her cheeks. Be good, sweetheart, she whispered. I'll come visit when I can. I walked her to the fence one last time. She turned to me, searching for something, forgiveness, maybe, or permission to hope. I never stopped loving you, she said. Even when I didn't deserve to. I nodded slowly. Then love her better than you loved me. That's all I ask. She smiled faintly, the ghost of the woman I once knew, and then she was gone again, walking down that same dirt road, only this time without looking back. That evening, when the sun sank behind the hills, I sat on the porch with Anna. May was chasing fireflies by the barn, her laughter carrying across the fields. Anna reached for my hand. She'll always be a part of your story, she said. But not your life. I squeezed her hand gently. No, I said, watching the horizon fade into gold. This time, the story stays here, where it belongs.